Hello, Dog Nation. I'm Brandon Adams, and this is a special Dog Nation recruiting special, I guess, if you will, brought to you by Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau as we react to what has been a very big day for Georgia on the recruiting front, including just a few moments ago, getting Marvin Jones Jr., five-star edge rusher, a position of need for Georgia, to be clear. And on the Dog Nation the last couple of days, we talked about this really being that big name that would probably kind of elicit the biggest chortle for me of all today, and certainly I gave one of those a little earlier when that news became official and final, adding Jones into the mix here. I believe that's five stars altogether for Georgia here in this class of 2022. More names being paid attention to as well, potentially, including a couple of guys we'll find out about in January, whether Christian Miller, whether Ernest Green, offensive and defensive linemen, are going to join up and be a part of this class. But adding Jones Jr. a moment ago was certainly a big deal for UGA. In fact, I think we have a little bit of an image we can show on the screen for the guy they call MJJ. He says, God just keeps on blessing me. Amen and hallelujah to that. A great-looking edit there. Committed to UGA. Getting ready to make his move. I had a chance to see some of the video with him a little earlier. Fun display with his family as they kind of unzip the windbreakers to reveal the Georgia shirts there. And that was certainly a great thing to see. We're going to stay live here for a few minutes, and we're going to catch up with Jeff Sintel in a moment. In fact, if we want to see if Jeff is ready to hop on with us, we'll do that. We'll also listen for the news that Shamar James has made his final announcement. I guess there was a chance that James, the longtime Florida commit, could be going back the way of the Gators. And then we will see if, before we get off the air, the honest truth is I'm tired, y'all. I can't do this all night long. But we'll see if we can take this up to 6:30 or so to find out if Dion Bowie makes an announcement. To be completely frank, I'm not 100% sure that Bowie's even going to make an announcement. I think he's going to. I think it's supposed to be 6:30. At one point in time, there had been some talk about Georgia related to this. Honestly, it's been kind of quiet on that front as of late. So we'll kind of see if there's anything left to be said on that. But if, just to be completely honest, if he don't make it happen right there pretty close to 6:30, I'm going to pack it up and pack it in because I want to go eat some dinner. But nonetheless, a very big day for Georgia. There were, of course, some guys that started the day as UGA commits that did not finish the day there on that front. Tyree West, obviously. This was kind of to be expected, leaving the Georgia class. Some thought at one point that he might be going towards Texas A&M. Excuse me. That's not true. Some thought that he might be going towards Florida State. That's what I meant to say. Instead, he goes to Tennessee. Obviously, Marquis Grove's Killebrew is kind of the other one kind of related to that, and he was the guy that's been kind of connected to Texas A&M. Of course, the big news of all today, the dominant recruiting storyline, is what has happened with Travis Hunter, nation's #1 recruit, who very surprisingly today chose Jackson State, going with Deion Sanders, as opposed to going with Florida State. I realize this is kind of on the fly, and a good job there throwing up the Travis Hunter edit from a little earlier. Do we have the video of the Florida State guy burning the jersey here? This is kind of apropos of nothing, but just kind of good video all the way around. Florida State Seminole fan burning the Deion jersey. I guess is it effigy? Is that what you say? Kind of burning the thing here in effigy. Yeah, there you go. That's the Deion jersey, still in the frame, autographed. I still think this is very dangerous. This is the kind of thing that could start a wildfire or set a person on fire, if nothing else. But the Deion jersey getting burned down a little earlier. So that's kind of the big news there on that front. We have tried Jeff on the phone. Once again, he's not answering. But nonetheless, we'll see if we can catch up with him in a moment. We'll kind of give you the Shamar James thing when it comes out here. We'll sort of take your comments there on some of this there too. And, listen, this is also one of those days where this is also one of those days in which you're not going to get everybody you want. We were obviously live on video a little earlier when Kamari Wilson made his choice of Florida. That's a player that Georgia wanted, didn't get that. You shake it off, and you just kind of go on after that, and that's kind of the way all of that goes down. So let's get some comments here. DawgNation.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everything else, and we will let you get on your way on a Wednesday night as we wrap this up. Of course, big thanks to Georgia Farm Bureau for making this possible, the one you turn to for your auto insurance needs. They've been doing it in Georgia since 1959. I'm talking about folks that live and work and do life right there in communities like mine, like yours, here in this great state of Georgia. That means when you pick up the phone, you talk to one of their agents about your policy or one of their claims adjusters about your issue. You're going to be talking with folks who are just as entrenched into the state of Georgia as you are. that is what Georgia Farm Bureau is all about. Since 1959, they've been keeping their promises to their folks when it comes to auto insurance. They are reliable auto insurance. When you need that dependable transportation, reliable auto insurance is a big part of that, and that's what Georgia Farm Bureau can provide for you. So find them online, gfbinsurance.com. That's gfbinsurance.com. They will take good care of you, and it's a great thing for us to be able to have them presenting so much of this recruiting stuff. Obviously, the kind of homegrown talent that we talk about here for a lot of these Georgia Bulldogs signing for the class of 2022. Georgia Farm Bureau, no stranger to homegrown there as well. That is what they all are across our great state of Georgia. So make sure you check them out. Georgia Farm Bureau is always the home team. All right, we'll get some more of your comments here coming up in just a little bit. Folks kind of weighing in on that. So we'll get some more of your comments there at DawgNation.com in a bit. Let's get some DawgNation Facebook stuff up and running there too. We'll catch up with Jeff Sintel, and we'll put a bow, at least on the video part, of our National Signing Day coverage today. Of course, don't forget, it's Ernest Green going into January. It's Christian Miller going into January. Two guys that are expected to have signed today, but announced then as part of the All-Star Game festivities. So there will still be more recruiting announcements ongoing beyond this. Let's get some Facebook comments here. Barry Watkins says, will Georgia finish at number 1? I mean, mathematically, I have to ask Jeff about that. Obviously, it's looking at a top 3 class. I don't know about number 1. Kevin Wood said more concerned about quarterback handling than recruiting right now. I get all of that. Kirby Smart did address quarterbacks today. We'll talk more about that throughout the week here on DawgNation Daily. I certainly understand that. Robbie McCullough says, is Jordan James signing today? No, I believe that James has now pushed his signature back to February to go along with Dara Smith and Dylan Bell, who's also announced the same thing. So I believe it's Jordan James, Dylan Bell, Dara Smith who've all pushed their signatures into February. Jesse Dellinger, good to see you. Billy Hurley says highs and lows today. If we are third today, is it because of those that didn't sign today? Yeah, I mean, like as I said before, I'm just not good enough mathematically to kind of know that. So we'll kind of ask Jeff mathematically what George is looking at here, but that's not my forte. Also, the subject of how the NIL stuff is kind of unfolding and kind of what's going on with that. I guess what Gene Chizik had tweeted about the Texas offensive linemen all getting $50,000 apiece. And that's obviously a new age in which we're living in. And now some folks, I know Jimbo Fisher goes on the Feinbaum show and say there's been NIL deals for years. It's just kind of out in the open now. I'm not saying improper benefits have ever been a thing, but if they are, and they have been, I'm not quite so sure that the presence of the NIL stuff necessarily changes that anyway, much the same way that certain people just like to make some sort of transactions under the table. There will probably always be a little bit of a market for some of this kind of stuff under the table there on that as well. So I know Jimbo Fisher kind of spoken about that a little earlier today. David Valentine said on Facebook, proud to have this recruiting class coming in for 2022, and I certainly am there as well. Chad Coleman says, if it's proven to be true, the internet trolls like Barstool can buy recruits through the name, image, likeness stuff, then maybe more rules are needed for the name, image, likeness. Well, obviously these rules are going to be they're going to evolve. I know there's I guess an evolution of the Florida NIL law taking place right now, where in the past it's been, I guess, restrictive on you're not supposed to pay a player simply for coming to your school. It's supposed to be truly related to some sort of name, image, likeness, bargaining, marketing type idea. But I guess in the future, Florida, the state, hopes to change its law so that it's able to do that. All right, so we'll thought we were going to have Jeff Sintel to go right now, but apparently we're not. We're going to get him coming up here in just a little bit. So there you go on that. Terry asked about Big Bear Alexander. Big Bear's in the fold. His letter was sent in earlier. Nice graphic put up there on UGA on that. Aaron Guthrie in the subject of Shamar James. No, we're still waiting on the Shamar James news, and we'll kind of get that coming up in just a little bit. So we'll continue to follow that. This is a little bit like DawgNation Daily earlier. So according to reporter there, Shamar James has entered the room now. Black suit, red bow tie, if it matters. Yeah, I don't know if that means good things for Georgia there or not. The reporter, this is Ben Thomas, who says big crowd of students on hand, but Shamar James hasn't sat down at the table just yet. Shamar on the phone right now. maybe telling his school if they already didn't know. I'm sure he's probably already communicated that message. But according to Ben Thomas, let's see who Ben Thomas is. He covers high school sports in Alabama for the Alabama Media Group. I'm assuming that's AL.com. Shamar James dressed in red and black for his announcement, but sometimes those kinds of things can be a little misleading. But Shamar James getting ready to make his announcement. We'll see if that is indeed Georgia. What could be a battle of a battle of Georgia, Alabama, Florida there on that. At one point in time, Alabama was thought to be a player. Obviously, James, longtime commitment to Florida. Now Georgia trying to get in the mix. By the way, if you're curious here, SEC picks up 17 5-stars today. That's just 12 for the rest of FBS football. So the SEC outpacing the entirety of the rest of college football when it comes to acquiring these 5-stars. Ty Simpson, the quarterback, is in the fold here for Alabama. That is a done deal. So we'll keep more of those comments going. Bill says, who's left where we can jump up? So regardless of what happens with Shamar James today and whether or not Dion Bowie goes here in a little bit, Georgia still has Christian Miller out there and Ernest Green out there for the very future. Chase Dog says, does Jeff not like me anymore? Maybe not. We've had a hard time tracking him down here today. Joseph Weinberg says, what's the status of Sean Washington? I believe the Washington LOI is in, right? Washington is in with Georgia, right? Didn't we see that a little earlier? I believe I saw that. Yeah, so Washington is in with Georgia. That's a done deal for him. And that's another one of those battles that seemed like it might be. Yeah, he was in an hour ago. Georgia tweeting that officially that he is in the fold there. So Sean Washington is a done deal to Georgia now. Big E says, where does James fit into the UGA defense? Is he a stand up or hand in the dirt? So yeah, we do have. I've been given a little bit of a video here of Shamar James. So I'll kind of watch this here a little bit, and we'll see James make his announcement in just a moment. Thank you, Michael Carvel, for that. So we'll see James make his announcement. There have been some chatter a little earlier related to Florida on this. We'll see if that holds or if this is a Georgia thing. We've heard less about Alabama as of late on this. But Shamar James will be an inside linebacker at Georgia, Big E. I'm sorry to not answer your question, but that's kind of what he would do. That's kind of the role that he would fill there at Georgia as an inside linebacker. Let's see if we can get some YouTube comments as we wait. Looks like a principal or something is speaking there at Faith Academy for Shamar James. So in the state of Alabama, James getting ready to make his announcement. We'll hear from him coming up in a moment. Shabazz asking about the producer. That was our buddy Michael Carvel, who's worked so hard all day long today to help keep us on the air and all that kind of stuff. So good stuff from him. And always a bad sign on the stream when one dude who's speaking passed the microphone to somebody else to speak. That means we're going to have a lot of politicians and dignitary types speaking here when all we really want to hear from is Shamar James. Of course, a lot of you are the same way. You wish I'd shut up so you could find out what James is doing. But I'll tell you as soon as I know. Heath Williams says, how are you watching the James announcement? The honest truth is I have no idea. This was literally just put right in front of me. DMart42 on Marcus Grove's Killer Brew. Yeah, that was the rumor earlier that Grove's Killer Brew was maybe trending away from UGA a little bit. And so that kind of started yesterday there a bit there on that. Somebody also asked about Dara Smith. That was a little bit of a surprise today that he did not sign. As far as why that was, there's obviously going to be all kinds of speculation related to Georgia's numbers and what that meant. The truth is that we really can't know, and most people are not going to speculate because they just don't want to, basically put a kid in an unfair light, whether it be, Darius or anybody else. But three guys that started the day as potential signees for Georgia have now postponed those decisions to February. Maybe they just want to wait and see. Maybe that's kind of part of what that is. But, between, Tyree West, who, goes to Tennessee, and, these other guys, obviously we knew, I think Georgia had 27 commitments coming into the day. We knew Georgia wouldn't land all of those. Just the numbers were going to make that pretty hard to do. B.A. Cardigan says, just hand the mic to the kid, let him have his day. Grown-ups in the administration should have nothing to say, trying to steal fame. Yeah, at least in fairness to me, I realize I never stop talking in the studio. I run my mouth 100 miles an hour all the time. But at least when it's the kid's turn to talk, I'll let him have his moment. But obviously, a lot of the folks there in that community look at this as a time to kind of get some attention. John Adams on the subject of Marquis Grove's Killebrew wanting to be an early enrollee. Yeah, I mean, for him, that was going to be really important. Remember, he's got a very serious injury recovery that he's about to be undergoing. And, I mean, being around the high school football community, there was a lot of talk about his injury when it went down. A lot of folks very concerned about him. And listen, I can't wait to see him playing college football again and obviously doing big things because we know what kind of promising player that he is. But we also know that he's got a big recovery ahead of him. So being an early enrollee somewhere, getting into a strength and conditioning program and a medical training program as quickly as he possibly can, that's going to be really important for him. And obviously at a place like Georgia, the numbers are always just going to be so tight. Always just going to be so tight. Motivated Dedicated says he may like Delp better than Bowers. That's quite a statement. Heath Williams says, what's your opinion on the chances that JT, Zeus, Nolan Smith, Pickens return for next season? I would say that of those guys, I guess there's a chance that Nolan Smith comes back, but I'm not even really so sure I believe in that. I mean, Mike Griffith said today that he thought JT was coming back. I certainly have no more to add on that than that. The Zamir White thing, I guess based on the extra year of eligibility, I guess he could come back. I'd be somewhat surprised if he did. The Pickens thing, I'd love that nothing more, but I'd also be pretty surprised if he did. So I guess of the names that you mentioned, I guess JT's the most likely to come back, and I would say of the other three, I'm more confident than not they won't be back, if I had to guess. I mean, you'd love for Nolan to come back, but I just don't know. Also, I guess there was some chatter that Marvin Jones Jr. told one of these websites that Georgia told him they were losing 4 outside linebackers. So maybe that's that. Michael Freeman, as we're waiting for Shamar James to make his announcement here, what are the chances that Arik Gilbert's ready to go next year? I know that there's certainly some hope that that's the case. Noah Sheldon, 500, says Smoke Monday is going to the NFL. Well, he'll be eligible for the NFL by the time this guy stops talking in this ceremony here. Not Smoke Monday, Smoke Bowie, excuse me. Yeah, so there's all kinds of smokes now. That's the other problem, too, is like there's a lot of smokes. Smoke Monday's been at Auburn, which is a very cool name. Smoke Bowie, Dion Bowie, his nickname is Smoke. That's the guy we're kind of waiting for there at in Bainbridge. And yeah, Tim Harrell, I guess the latest we had on this was that Bowie might be looking to play wide receiver now. All right, so let's Jonathan Corley says that Nolan Smith would be perfect to come back and help shepherd the flock for Georgia next season. We now have a third speaker here for Shamar James. This appears to be a coach. You can sort of tell who's a coach and who's like not an administrator because this guy's got like golf pullover type thing on and the kind of nylon coaches type pants thing that almost I'm talking about like with the elastic waistband and the kind of the moisture wicking material. So I believe this must be a coach. So hopefully that must mean we're kind of slowly working our way towards the player getting a chance to speak. Also, Cavassier Smoke. That's exactly right. Brandon Roberts reminds us of another Smoke. First of all, it's a great nickname. And I'm all for. I've said this before when I'm at this point just completely killing time. But I've said before, I am very slow to give Auburn credit for anything, but Auburn will use a player's nickname in like his official roster name. I think that's kind of cool. Like if you go to look at the old Auburn roster, it used to say Big Cat Bryant or Smoke Monday. They'll just put the player's nickname as their name on the video board or the media guide or something like that. I'm all for that. All for that. Let me go back over to Facebook for a minute. So waiting here on news on Shamar James, maybe waiting on Dion Bowie, but at this point in time, I don't even really know what's even going on with that anymore. If y'all hear something, I guess let me know. In fact, let me check it on the phone here for a second while we're waiting on this happening with Shamar James. I'll see if I can hear something else. Not as of yet. Bill Kelly says, who's getting Tank Bigsby? Bigsby's not, speaking of another cool nickname, Bigsby's not leaving Auburn. He decided to stay. It's kind of funny. It's like this was actually good news for Auburn. But nobody, I mean, I've been asked this question several times. It's amazing that Auburn did not really get a lot of juice for that news because it happened the same day that Spencer Rattler went to South Carolina. And so did not get a lot of news on that. Are they doing another speaker now? So they've now passed the microphone now 4 times. Now we have a totally different guy speaking. So if the other guy was a coach, I'm not sure who this guy is. He appears to be a coach as well. I don't know, man. I don't know. Jeremy Barbie says George got a big bear and a gorilla. Yeah, what is it's Sean Washington. His nickname is like a silverback, I guess. He's got like Georgia has kind of commonly used that big silverback image in a lot of the stuff it shares for him, which is kind of a cool nickname too. I should say Craig Wasick. Thanks for the kind words, Craig. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. I hear some applause. Shane Bryan says, where are you watching the video? I honestly don't know. My producer, Michael Carvel, brought it in here. I literally don't know. Brian Garrett says, do we have any idea how many recruits that Georgia could sign this year? So by rule, it's 25 plus 7. The 7 a replacement for like some of the pandemic losses. But Georgia probably wasn't going to do that anyway. So they could sign, I guess, up to 32, but they're probably not going to sign that many. Richard Pollard says A&M's 1, Bama's 2, Dogs 3. Yeah, that's about right there where those numbers are. Randy Hall said the Auburn got some good defensive backs today. Yeah, I'm going to have to dig into some of that a little bit. I saw some of that earlier, but I haven't really seen that. Cody Taylor says the whole Kamari thing was downright disturbing. Like, I get what you're saying, and gosh knows I've had a lot of grief coming from Florida fans on this, but the idea that Florida was going to go over the entire signing day was probably not great. And they may get Shamar James here too. So, I mean, I was disappointed. Georgia clearly wanted Kamari Wilson. We wouldn't have covered the video if they didn't. All right, so now we have – so now the microphone's going to the person of Shamar James. He's getting ready to make his announcement here. James getting ready to do that. Looking very dapper, by the way. Very dapper. But to finish off the point of Kamari Wilson, I was disappointed for sure. But it's like a tempered disappointment. I mean, it's a disappointment that comes in light of everything else that's gone on for UGA. So, yeah. Brian Anthony Cook says, I really like this class, and there is a lot to like about it, for sure. A lot to like. Big E says somebody needs to get me a sandwich. Listen, I'm hungry. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm starving. I am so ready to wrap this up. Not to say I'm not enjoying being with all of you. I'm just, it's been a long day. By the way, thanks to Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau for making all this possible. Mark Morris says, let's not forget that speed burner wideout we got yesterday, huge gift for the dog. That's right, Chandler Smith there as well. I mean, at a certain point, was Georgia going to even have room for all of Florida's one-time 2022 commits? That seems probably unlikely. All right, so James appears to be wrestling with something under the table here. I'd love nothing more than for this to be a live animal, but I don't think it's going to be. I can't hear what he's saying just because I'm talking to all of you, but it looks like he's getting ready to do something here. Is there a prop coming out? Let's see. All right, so it looks like Shamar James, my video's behind, looks like he has chosen Florida, which is not unexpected news. Yeah, that's the Florida hat coming there for James. And listen, James was a Florida commitment forever. I mean, he only came available to Georgia, and just like that, the video kind of comes to an end. He only came available to Georgia because Dan Mullen got fired. So there you go there on that. Shamar James going to Florida, not unexpected news. And Florida has a little something to celebrate there on that, adding Kamari Wilson and Shamar James here late. So there you go. Some Florida fans kind of checking here in the YouTube. Shannon Sipsey says, I'm 2 for 2 for Florida, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I have a hard time keeping track of what Florida's done today, just given the fact that, I mean, I've been very busy covering the five stars that Georgia's gotten. So it's been hard for me to keep track of, Florida, just given how many 5 stars Georgia's gotten, how much success Georgia's enjoyed. It's almost more success than we can even cover in one show. So I'm going to have to go back and, scroll, hit the show more teams, scroll some more, hit the show more teams, scroll some more, and then when I finally get a chance to see where Florida was ranked to start the day, that'll give me a chance to kind of catch up on some of that. So interesting stuff there now. All right. Tim Harrell says Florida was desperate to get any win over UGA. And, listen, I think that's probably true, but also they, give them credit. They did get a couple of wins there. So there's that. Some of y'all enjoyed that. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I've gotten a little bit of, like, Twitter stuff from Florida fans today, but here's the thing you understand. Like, I don't have notifications turned on my phone. So I would go crazy that way. Like, I can't have that ding, ding, ding going on all the time. I just can't have that. I mean, they make me turn on notifications from my email at work, and they make me turn on notifications. We have like an internal chat. Other than that, like, I don't have notifications turned on. I got all like the Florida fan, like reply guy simps that are like, oh, how you like Florida now? Look what they did. Like, I'll never see any of that stuff. I'll never see any of that stuff. So you can shout into the void with all you want to. You can show up in the videos and say what you want to. Florida's not on my radar. Congratulations. You got Shamar James. You had Shamar James. Shamar James clearly wanted to go to Florida. Even Dan Mullen could win that recruiting battle. So, the idea that you're going to take a victory lap over Shamar James, this is what you already had in your class. The Kamari Wilson thing, yeah, I'll give you credit for that. You got to win. Congratulations. That was the first player that Florida's ever gotten from IMG Academy. This is what you should have been doing all along. The idea that you're on the scene now because you got, 2 recruits. I mean, give me a break. Jeff Sintel, by the way, from I'm assuming still Fort Pierce, Florida, on all of this. Jeff, quite a day for UGA. Not great for the Dogs where you were with Kamari Wilson a little earlier. But here, presented by Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau, certainly a nice time to look back on everything that Georgia did get today. As good a haul as I can remember them putting together, really, for the most part.
Yeah, man. First of all, Brandon, I got to tell you, I was highly entertained on hold, man. Listening to that speech about Florida fans and not seeing it, man. You got any more fireworks like that? You got any more crossfire for them?
I've said this a couple times, Jeff, and this is honestly like, I feel like those of us here in SEC country, we ought to be able to be honest with each other. We ought to be able to be candid with each other. Friends are honest with each other. Like, so a lot of these Florida folks are strutting around, hey, what do you think about us? We're recruiting now. This is what you're supposed to do. This notion of, how you like us now? We're recruiting. This is what you should have been doing all along. This is what the rest of us have been doing for years. This idea that there's something to watch for on National Signing Day, this has been our story now around here for a good number of years. The fact that Florida is now a participant in this, frankly, it's a little strange that it took this long. So congratulations on holding on to a commit that even Dan Mullen could have won. And, congratulations on getting Kamari Wilson. That's a real deal recruiting win. Certainly no lie there on that. But this idea that the balance of power is shifted because Georgia only got 5 5-stars today, that's a pretty specious claim all the way around.
Yeah, Brandon, you had a mouth.
All circuits are busy. Please try your call again later. Announcement 8, switch 4, 1-3.
All right, I'm about to get off the show. I'm about to get off the show. Dion Bowie, he better hurry up. It's 6:30 right now. Let's just see if Dion does anything. And if he don't do this in like 5 minutes, I'm getting off the air. I'm just tired, y'all. I'm tired. Reformation Logistics says 900 numbers cost money. Some of y'all are old enough to remember back when recruiting was a 900 number. Some of y'all remember back in the day when you had to like dial it in, like the old days of like Jamie Newberg and guys like that. We should get Jamie on the show someday. I used to know Jamie pretty well. Mike Jones says I'm having a bad day. I'm not having a bad day. Now, you haven't lived until you try to get Jeff Sintel on the phone. Like, I've got a better chance of getting Smoke Bowie on the phone right now and just having him tell me over the air what he's doing for his commitment. I could probably do that as well as I can get Jeff Sintel on the phone. So I'm having a great day. Georgia's cleaning house and recruiting. Georgia is absolutely cleaning house. So I'm thrilled about that. I just get frustrated trying to get Jeff on the phone sometimes. Jamel Major says it's a long day. That is indeed the case. Jermaine King said that Jeff's calling collect. Maybe Jeff's incarcerated. Maybe Jeff got thrown in jail after the Kamari Wilson thing. Cliff Payne says dogs aren't even done yet. By the way, it's good to see Cliff, by the way. It's good to see Cliff. Also, Jay Shipe's funny as per usual. Adrian Mid5 says we killed it today. Yeah, Georgia had a great day, man. Great day. Mark Irwin says anyone left we're still waiting to hear from. Donald Romney says I'm ready for a drink. Yeah, you better believe that. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd like to hear something on Dion Bowie in a second. But the honest truth is I'm not even sure if he's really even announcing. So at this point I'm kind of flying blind on all this. So if y'all hear something, y'all let me know. I was going to ask Jeff, but obviously that's not going to work. Lucy Bowers Boykin. Let's see if we can call Jeff one more time. Let's just try that one more time. And if it doesn't work, and if we don't hear from Dion Bowie, then we're going to let folks go into that great night. Kent Hughes says traditional signing period. So I guess you'll keep your eye on Shamar Stewart there a little bit going into February. But the big thing for Georgia is January 8th. That's the All-Star game. That's when Ernest Green, Christian Miller, two guys that are expected to sign today are expected to announce. Now, Georgia's probably felt good about Christian Miller for a while. In the case of Ernest Green, there has been some chatter related to Georgia that's really intensified. If you go back and listen to DawgNation Daily on Tuesday, I think for the most part I was kind of doing that show as if Green was not coming to Georgia, and that seemingly has changed. Now, maybe it changes again, but I would say that for a while there was some good feelings related to Ernest Green there. But, Jeff, I believe we have you back there again after losing you a moment ago. So I forget what we were talking about before, but just kind of a nice day for Georgia. You can't get everybody you want. You missed out on Kamari Wilson if you're UGA, but, boy, you should have get a lot of other things.
Hey, Brandon, I think it's time for me to make a joke that Billy Napier is like knocking down anti-Florida sales signals now, man. He's growing, man. That's where he's getting in the state. I think the one thing I've gotten a lot of this. I want to just put this out there for everybody. I've gotten this question a lot from folks on social media and text messages and other things. There was some uncertainty today. Like, I guess some folks weren't sure whether Marvin Jones made just a commitment today or actually he signed. He actually did sign with Georgia today.
There you go.
So I think one of those things that people might wonder about is that a commitment in hand or is it closed and signed and sealed? You don't have fun until the ink dries. Well, he is a Georgia Bulldog, and Brendan, I think what is it? The last 2 or 3 at bats Georgia had with some guys they really wanted. I think it takes some luster a little bit out of the taste in everybody's mouth. But folks, this thing was assured, probably even going into today, that this was going to be the best defensive class of the Kirby Smart era, and it is. I think one of the things that astounds me is I went and looked back through the history, Brandon, of the great defensive back hauls for Georgia under Kirby Smart, and I actually thought they were a lot better. The optics or the memory, I thought they were a lot better than what they actually are. For instance, the year they signed Tyson Campbell, he was the only top 100 DB in the class. 2017, they got D'Angelo Gibbs and Richard LeCount. Keely Ringo, they got 2 top 100-ish corners as well. But, Brandon, they've never, ever signed more than two top 100 players for the secondary in any Kirby Smart cycle. And I think the number here lands at 5. Just astounding what they're doing. The Bulldogs have 5 stars in this class, and all 5 of them are on the defensive side of the ball. I think it was really important to land Jones because Jones at one time, he had 2 family members that played. His dad and his uncle played for Florida State. And really his mom kind of let the cat out of the bag online that when Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma, he was silently committed to Oklahoma. But one thing Marvin had said is he really didn't know what his recruiting was going to be about until he took his last official visit to Georgia. And the reason why he said that, he even hinted at it today with his ESPN announcement that he kind of felt Georgia was the place for him 2.5 months ago when he came and saw Georgia for the Kentucky game. He just felt like that was the place. He liked the city. He liked the vibe. He really likes the fact that, while Alabama has guys like Dallas Turner and Will Anderson that are going to play his position, Georgia really has Nolan Smith, and that's about it. And it just felt like he clicked off a lot of things Georgia was looking for. But I can already tell you, and this is one of those aftermath stories that just rings true in my head right now, is you're going to see Georgia lose a lot of battles for 2023 DBs now. Maybe guys like A.J. Harris, maybe guys like, Caleb Downs, because of what they stacked up in this class. And, that happens to everybody. I mean, that's what's happening now to Alabama. I just brought up Marvin Jones Jr. Look what happened there with Alabama with getting an elite edge target. Another 5-star, number 22 overall player in the country, I believe. You can be all great and you can be perfect with what's going on in the recruiting world, and you can like everything about the program, but all things being equal, if it's a better opportunity for there somewhere else, most of the time these recruits are going to take it. And what I found really interesting, being down here for the Kamari Wilson story is, by the time you learn, kind of what's happening here, it becomes a different kind of story. It becomes, and this will show up on DawgNation.com soon, is like, at what point did Florida become the team for Kamari Wilson? And the answers there were really fascinating. It was very, very late in the game. Surprised members of his family how late in the game it turned towards Florida.
So let me ask you this really quickly, because a lot of folks in the comment section are asking this. We're all looking around trying to find something on Dion Bowie, who's supposed to be making an announcement right now, and really haven't seen much online about this at all. You have anything to add to this?
Well, so Dion Bowie spent all last weekend in College Station. That was on an unofficial visit. Certainly seems, and it's kind of hard to get over to College Station from Bainbridge, Georgia. I think Georgia's spot in the class for Dion Bowie, I don't know if that is as a defensive back anymore. I think it's probably as a wide receiver, athlete type prospect.
I guess what I mean, though, is he's still announcing right now. I guess that's what I mean. Is he still announcing right now?
Yeah, I don't know what his timetable and schedule looks like for today, whether he's announcing or not. If that's the question,
It was supposed to be at 6:30, I thought, but as of yet, we haven't seen much on this as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's not happening. We just hadn't seen it all the way around. Yeah, but you were. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
You're ready for him to choose Florida tonight, too, as well, and take more crossfire? Is that what you're ready for him to do?
I do think there are some folks, as you said, they're kind of interested in the idea that if he were to kind of emerge as a possibility, the idea that it might be on that offensive side of the ball as opposed to the other side.
Yeah, from seeing a lot of him, Brandon, it looked like his skill set really went in a different direction today went in a different direction this season from what he had shown in the past. Of course, Brandon, he really had the knee injury that took him away from all of his junior year. So you really didn't know what you had there with Dion Bowie because most of his film was sophomore film. And Brandon, to be honest, a lot of the best plays on the ones that really moved Dion Bowie up to 5-star status as an athlete, a lot of those were made on the offensive side of the ball and not the defensive side of the ball. And I think with Georgia, with guys like, Slim Singletary and Dalen Everett now, not to mention what they have with Julian Humphrey, Corey Thomas, Malachi Stark, I really think that, should Dion Bowie decide to, when Dion Bowie has to consider Georgia, I don't think the best spot for him would be for Georgia in the defensive backfield.
I think it'd probably be on the offensive side. I kind of agree with you on that. So a couple things really quickly. Michael Kilpatrick asked about Walter Nolan. Yeah, Nolan did sign with A&M today, I believe. And to go back to something you mentioned a moment ago, so Walter Jones Jr. has signed with Georgia, right? This is a signature that's in the fold. You can say that, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been released by Georgia yet, but the information that I got a couple of times today that I got within the last hour from Pat Surtain, the head coach of American Heritage, was that Marvin Jones Jr. signed today, and it might just be taking a while to get the edit out and the tweet and everything going out. But that was really big, Brandon, because I know a lot of people feel, how important he was to the class, where it's not just a defensive back heavy class, that that pass rush is going to get there. And, when you see Marvin Jones Jr. and the thought that he's committed but not signed, everybody's wondering, what's going on with that? Is this something hanging left on the hook? But my information has told me that Marvin Jones Jr. did sign today. It's just a matter of when it will be released and announced.
Yeah, I said Walter. I meant to say Marvin. I apologize there for that. And then obviously, Jeff, the one thing that will still be out there for Georgia beyond today is what happens in early January when Ernest Green and when Christian Miller make their announcements official. I guess signatures expected to come today. but both Green and Miller still on the board to make their announcements there in January, and both those announcements will certainly be of note for Georgia there at that time.
Yeah, certainly. It's kind of funny, the tea leaves on the tea leaves for Green had kind of always read Georgia for the longest time, and then he took a couple of visits back to Alabama. And you know what? Alabama's a wonderful place. They win a lot of championships. And Alabama seemed to have been the team that grabbed some synergy there with Ernest Green III. I think I saw him in the Alabama section for the FCC championship game, of all things, looking down and watching that game. And you look at Georgia now, and you know, Georgia's the team that you're hearing a lot more about him coming back full circle. Kind of like a you know, what Shamar James did. You go back to the place that you really wanted. And it was kind of funny. One of the things Kamari Wilson told me tonight about, you know, Georgia, and he even said today, he told me this morning that his mind went to Georgia for a couple more moments and went for a time that he was back on Georgia again. And he really didn't have an answer until he was like right up to the podium. His family said, and then Kamari also reiterated that. But he went back to Florida, was actually the first school that offered him, Brandon. First ever school that offered him. And that was something that when he gets to that point, when he has to make this really tough decision, that's one of the things about the Gators which really hit home for him.
And then a couple other questions kind of rolling in here. We'll just do this kind of really quickly here for a moment. So somebody asked about Jordan James. I guess you have what? Jordan James, Dylan Bell, Dara Smith. These are the UGA commits that made announcements today. They're going to postpone their signatures until February. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a couple of those guys. And, you know, a lot of those guys have unique, you know, academic situations, whether they're, you know, private schools or whatever. And, you know, when you start thinking now about you know, you've got a lot of names, Brandon, that will kind of carry over into what, you know, everybody will wonder about for the traditional period in February. And, you know, especially the All-American game, I was doing some calculations, and Brandon, and I think that Georgia's probably still going to end up with about 17 guys in the All-American game, 17 to 19 guys in the All-American games when all is said and done. And that's pretty good out of the size of this class when you can count up that many All-Americans.
And Marquis Grove's Killer Brew, by the way, that was rumored a lot over the last day or so to be, you know, moving on out of the Georgia program, maybe to Texas A&M. As of yet, that's still not official, correct?
Yeah, no, nothing's official. And again, another name to bring up about it is, although he's trending heavily to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M certainly had themselves a day today. Shamar Stewart is also one of those names that will kind of loom down to the very end. I think what Georgia folks should probably realize is when Georgia brings in a Marvin Jones Jr., you know, that's kind of sort of the same things that Shamar Stewart thinks he does really well in terms of, you know, being that type of playmaker right on the edge and harassing the passer.
All right, so I have found Dion Bowie's stream here. So, Jeff, I'm going to watch this. I'll let you do the same here and follow all of this. We appreciate you being here on our recap commitment special with Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau. Looking forward to reading a lot more from you, especially once you're back here in the state of Georgia once again. Of course, I just lost my now I've lost the feed to Dion. Either I lost mine or he lost his. Either way, good stuff here, Jeff. Thanks for being here today. We're going to get ready to wrap things up here in a little bit, but we appreciate big coverage all day long.
Hey, Brandon, thanks, man. Another one's in the books, man. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, good stuff there, Jeff Sintel. It's all brought to you by Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau. Great stuff there. And Dion, I'm going to tell you all this, but y'all don't log off the video. Use a different device. I got to have you, if I'm going to do this video, I got to have you clicked into it. But he's on his Instagram. So Dion's on his own Instagram here. He's doing his thing right now. But like I said, y'all don't log out of the video if I tell you that. So he's doing that live right now. I don't know what he's waiting on. So somebody said in the thing he's wearing an Adidas T-shirt. That means he's going to go to A&M and Adidas school. So maybe that's the case. Elton Hollis asked about Marquis Grove's Killer Brew. So as of yet, no word on Grove's Killer Brew as of yet. No word there on him for that. Shabazz, yeah, this is Bowie's Instagram that I'm on. Mark Brantley says he's not going anywhere. He's counting on me for the play-by-play. I appreciate that. Right now, I think it's hard to tell. I think there's more A&M fans in this Instagram than there is Georgia fans. I think it's hard to tell. Like you got like one guy gives you 12th man, one guy gives you go Dogs. This one guy says A&M is getting the best recruiting class of all time. So I don't know what we're waiting on here. So I don't quite know about that. DMart42 says not many teams have Adidas anymore. Yeah, of course I'm not going to comment on that, but there might be a reason for that. All right, let's see what else. Let me get a couple more comments. Good to see Christy in the YouTube comment section. Let me get Facebook over here, and hopefully in a minute, Dion Bowie will wrap all this up. Philip Clark says all the Georgia fans are watching me. I appreciate that, Philip. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Like, it is definitely like not exactly like video 101 to like tell people there's another video going on, but in this particular case, that is what's going on with Dion. Shelton Tucker says, who we waiting on? It's Dion Bowie. And the honest truth is, I don't even know if he's coming to Georgia. I mean, he's been thought to be going to Texas A&M forever. And I'm guessing that's what he probably does here. But we'll at least wait it out. I don't think he's coming to Georgia. But he might. Kevin Flute, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great Christmas. So, for those of you that watch DawgNation Daily, I'll go ahead and give you a little heads up on this. So we're going to do, obviously, the show the rest of this week. We're going to do the show Monday and Tuesday live next week. We're going to pre-record a show on Wednesday. I'm also doing the Georgia Elite Classic next Wednesday, too, which I'm excited about. And then I'm going to be off for Thursday and Friday, looking ahead to Christmas. And then back on Monday from, I'm going to call it Miami, but it's technically Fort Lauderdale. Looking forward to that. So, yeah, I'm excited about Christmas. I'm excited about all that. Now there's somebody else in this video. What is going on here? This is confusing. The signal's also terrible. It's not my signal, too. It's Dion Bowie's signal's terrible. Colt Deems, thanks for the kind words. But this thing's buffering like crazy, but it's not. I mean, I got 8,000 devices in here, and they're all working fine. The comments are working fine. Their signal's terrible. Lord in heaven, I wish they'd just announce. Merry Christmas to you too, David Bloodsworth. Appreciate that. All right, let's see what else. Keith Shelley says, what an Aggie. This is definitely a Texas A&M level of level of technology right now, unfortunately, I'm afraid. Mike Jones says it's a bootleg video. Yeah, this video, listen, Dion's a good player, but this video is awful. Shabazz says my wife's going to be mad. Yeah, she really is. She's going to be so mad. I told her I'd be done. I told her I'd be having dinner by now, and I'm still sitting here in the studio on the show. At this point in time, this guy named Cajun Kingfish on the Instagram says to Dion Bowie that he needs to get a new router when all that NIL money comes in. So the signal's bad. I'm going to give this like 1 or 2 more minutes. And after that, I may just have to read about this. Bob Wright says, Merry Christmas from Johns Creek. Appreciate that. Sean Thompson says, yeah, this is what my life has become, Sean. I'm missing dinner while trying to watch a blurry Instagram video. That's what my life is right now, Sean. That is exactly right. Jermaine King says, is there a Before the Hedges show coming up tonight? I don't think so. I think we're kind of bleeding into Before the Hedges time right now. Who knows what Jeff has planned? DMart42 is a little bit of barbecue tonight. Looking forward to that if I can never get there. I just don't think this is going to work, y'all. Maybe he's chosen Texas A&M officially now. I think he must have.
I don't know why I muted.
I don't even know what's going on here at this point. All right, so I'm getting ready to go. I can't tell what he's doing. All right, so Dion Bowie's going on here. I don't think he's going to choose Georgia, so I think I'm about to get off the air. All right, good stuff. Appreciate y'all being here. Have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. They're giving him a hard time for having dial-up internet. At this point, I've done all I can do, y'all. All right, have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:45, 1st and 15, 10 a.m. for Dog Nation Daily. Big thanks to Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau. We couldn't do all this all day long if it wasn't for them, so good stuff there. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe by then, Dion Bowie will have made his announcement. So we'll talk to you then. Appreciate you being here all day throughout the day. And a big thanks to Kroger and Georgia Farm Bureau for making it all possible. See you later.